Most AI website builders make screenshots. This one builds software. And not just fast, it's an AI website builder with taste. This is a fully functional mobile website, user system, admin dashboard, AI calculator, real workflows, and I built this without writing traditional code. And no, this isn't a toy landing page. This is a real workflow app. It doesn't just look good, it behaves like a real product. Let me show you exactly how I built it using Readdy.ai. Real talk. Most AI website builders are fast, but they fall apart the moment you need logic. They don't lack power, they lack taste. Dashboards, states, workflows, admin controls, taste. Suddenly you're duct taping tools together or writing custom code. That's the problem Readdy.ai is actually solving. Readdy isn't just prompt to page, it lets you think in flows, states, and interactions, which is exactly how real client projects work, especially if you're a freelancer, agency, or marketer shipping functional sites. Today, I'm building a mobile-first functional website the same way I would for a real client. Before we build anything, let me show you what we're aiming for. This is Scopeflow AI, a mobile-first project estimation and workflow app. We've got a live dashboard so users know what matters in one glance, AI-generated project estimates so they get clarity, not forms, editable cost and timeline logic so the system adapts, not breaks, workflow stages you can't skip so users can't misuse it, admin mode that changes permissions so control is built in, not hacked later, and everything reacts instantly, no dead UI. This isn't a mockup, this is a functional demo app built entirely inside Readdy. If you don't have a Readdy account yet, the sign up honestly takes like 10 seconds. No weird onboarding maze, no setup tax. As soon as you're in, this is where you land, the Readdy dashboard. And this detail matters a lot. Readdy is structured around projects, not pages. That already tells you what kind of tool this is. You're not here to stitch together random screens. You're building systems, workflows, and logic-driven experiences. Front and center is this prompt box. This is where pretty much everything starts. You're not clicking 100 settings first. You're describing what you want to build in plain language, what kind of product it is, how it behaves, what the user can actually do. Readdy isn't just generating UI, it's interpreting intent, structure, and flow from this prompt. Down here on the bottom left, you can choose the type of build you're creating, web and mobile, or mobile first only. That's huge if you're building dashboards or internal tools because you're deciding layout behavior before anything is generated, not patching it later. And this feature right here is honestly underrated. You can upload a screenshot, a reference design, even a photo of a layout you like. Readdy will use that image as visual context when generating your site. So instead of saying make it modern or make it clean, you can literally show it what you want. You're also not locked into just starting from scratch. You can paste in a live website link and rebuild from that, upload a business card and let Readdy generate a site from it, or jump straight into templates. And the templates here aren't just hero sections slapped together, they're structured by industry, professional services, SaaS, local business, marketing. So you're starting from something that already understands the content hierarchy. But for this video, we're not using a template. We're building something custom, straight from a prompt, so you can see exactly how far Readdy can go when you think in workflows instead of pages. Before prompting anything, you need to think like a product builder, not a designer. I'm not thinking homepage, about page, contact page. I'm thinking, what actions can a user take? What states exist? What changes when a button is clicked? That's the difference between a website and a tool. So I mapped this as dashboard to create project to AI estimate to approve to workflow stages. Notice something? These are states and transitions, not pages. That mindset is why most AI builds fail, and why Readdy actually works. Now for the prompt. You can use ChatGPT to help structure something like this. I already prepared a clean, detailed prompt so Readdy understands the logic. Key thing, I'm telling Readdy exactly how data behaves, not just how things look. You're not writing copy, you're designing rules. This prompt tells Readdy what screens exist, what logic each interaction has, what updates instantly, and what states are locked or editable. This is where Readdy shines. It understands logic hierarchy, not just layout. Let's run it. Once the prompt is locked in, Readdy walks us through 2 quick setup steps before it generates anything. First, it suggests a section structure for the website. This is important because Readdy isn't just styling a page, it's defining how the experience is organized. You can add up to 10 sections at this stage, things like a dashboard view, creation flow, detail views, and you can always add more later. For this build, I'm going with the suggested structure because it already matches the workflow we planned. Once that's set, we just click Next. Next up is branding. Here, Readdy gives you a few options. You can generate a logo with AI, upload an existing logo, or skip branding entirely and add it later. I'll go with the logo that Readdy generated for us, just to keep things moving. Once the logo is set, click Next. and now we're inside the actual build environment. This is the main Ready generation dashboard. This is where everything actually happens. On the right side, you've got the chat panel. This is where your main prompt lives, and just as important, this is where the tools live. These tools let you refine sections, adjust layout, add logic, tweak behavior, or regenerate specific parts of the site without starting over. Right next to the chat panel, there's the code panel. This is huge. Here, you can see the entire code base Ready is generating, all the files, components, and structure behind the scenes. If you're comfortable with code, you can jump in and make manual edits. And if you want to take this project elsewhere, you can download the code and keep working on it outside Ready, so you're not locked into a black box. You've got full visibility and control if you want it. On the left side, you have the live preview window. This is where you'll see the site come together in real time. And there it is. Ready just built a mobile-first functional web app, not a static mockup, a real interactive build. It's not crowded, it feels intentional. That's what I mean by AI with taste. Notice something. We can already create new projects, see the dashboard update, move through the core flow. From here, everything we do is refinement, but the foundation is already solid. One more thing that's worth calling out here is previewing. At the top of the preview window, you'll see a mobile preview icon. When you toggle that on, Ready instantly reformats the entire experience to simulate a real mobile device. Not just scaling things down, the layout, spacing, and flow adjust the way they would on an actual phone. Since this is a mobile-first web app, I'm going to keep this preview mode enabled. And honestly, this is one of those small features that ends up saving a ton of time. Responsive design is usually where things start to fall apart. Here, you're validating it continuously while you build, not fixing it after the fact. You're always seeing the product the way a real user would experience it. That alone changes how you make decisions. Another really strong option here is export. Ready lets you export the entire design to Figma or MasterGo. That means if you're working with a designer, a client, or a larger team, you're not stuck recreating anything. You can take this exact structure, layout, and hierarchy and continue refining it in a traditional design tool, or just use it as a clean handoff. So whether your next step is deeper UI polish, collaboration, or production development, you're covered. You're not boxed in, and you're not starting over. At this point, we already have a working mobile web app. We can create new projects, see the dashboard update in real time, and move cleanly through the core workflow we planned, all before touching any backend or writing a single line of code. And that's the key idea here. Ready doesn't start you from a blank canvas. It gets you to something real first, then lets you shape it. Now we refine. And this is where Ready actually separates itself from toy builders. This is the phase where most tools break, logic snaps, states reset, stuff randomly stops working. Here, none of that. I can adjust hierarchy without breaking logic, rename workflow states, tweak inputs and defaults, edit AI-generated values, change permissions and visibility, and nothing collapses. If I want a field to be editable, I don't rebuild anything, I just describe it. That's the difference between generating a UI and refining a real product. Good tools don't let you do everything, they guide you to do the right thing. And here's what's powerful. You're not locked into one way of editing. You've got multiple refinement paths, depending on how you like to work. If you want global changes, like layout, behavior, or color system, you use the prompt box. If you want normal edits, like one component, one field, one section, you use the selector tool. Let's start with the prompt box and add real functionality. I'm gonna type add notification filtering options, all, unread, projects, and system, to the notification page. That's it. No config panels, no rules set up. I hit enter. Now Ready processes that in the background. You'll see status updates right here in the chat, so you always know what's happening. Okay, task complete. And look at this. We've got filters. They're visible, they're clickable, and they actually work. This isn't fake UI. Filtering changes the state. The list updates instantly. No refresh, no reload. That's workflow logic being preserved while features are added. Now let's do a more targeted edit. This is the selector tool, and it's honestly underrated. Instead of hunting through components or guessing where something lives, you just click what you want to change. Say I want to add a project timeline field to the project creation flow. I select the input group right here, and in the prompt box, I just type add a project timeline field. That's it. And boom, timeline field added. Correct placement, matches existing styles, and it's already wired into the project data. No broken layouts, no manual alignment, no redoing logic. And this works for everything, not just inputs. You can edit text, buttons, images, links, icons, basically any element on the site. You're not limited to form fields or data blocks. If it's visible, it's editable. Here's a quick pro tip, because this part really matters. Every meaningful change you make is versioned automatically right inside the chat. If you don't like an edit, want to compare different iterations, or something just doesn't feel right, you you can click on any previous version and instantly roll the entire app back to that exact state. No stress, no risky edits, no hope this doesn't break everything moments. You're always safe to experiment, and this is why refinement in Ready feels different. You're not fighting the tool or working around limitations, you're actively shaping the product. This is how real internal tools, dashboards, and client-ready workflows actually get built through iteration, confidence, and control, not fragile setups and one-way changes. Let's add just a little motion, not flashy, just functional. This isn't about making things cool, it's about making the interface easier to read and easier to understand. First, the dashboard cards. Right now they load instantly, which works, but we can improve clarity with motion. I want a scroll-triggered staggered fade-in and slide-up animation. This way, cards appear in sequence as you scroll, so your eyes naturally understand priority and grouping. So in the chat, I just type, add a scroll-triggered staggered fade-in and slide-up animation for the dashboard cards. That's it. Ready handles it in the background. You can see the status updates right here. No guessing, no waiting blindly. Okay, done. Now watch this. Smooth. Cards animate in naturally. Nothing jumps. Nothing feels delayed. And if I reload the app, it still works perfectly. No hacks, no custom timelines, just motion that respects the structure of the app. Now let's add one more thing. Page transitions. When you move between pages, I want a subtle slide in and slide out animation. Nothing dramatic, just enough to reinforce that you're moving through a flow, not teleporting between screens. And again, I describe it once. Ready applies it consistently across the app. This is the kind of motion that doesn't call attention to itself, but once it's there, the app instantly feels more polished, more intentional, more real. These are small touches, but they massively improve clarity, orientation, and user confidence. That's the difference between something that just works and something that feels right. Alright, now let's look at this properly. Not as a demo, not as a UI concept, but as a real, usable product. This is the dashboard, and it immediately answers the only question that matters to a user. What's going on right now? You've got clear, high contrast stats at the top, total projects, in progress, completed, total value. Even at zero, the structure is doing the work. The hierarchy is obvious, the information is scannable, you don't have to think, and the primary action is impossible to miss. Create new project isn't hidden, it's not buried in a menu, it's exactly where your thumb already is, because this was designed mobile first, not shrunk down later. Now let's create a project. Notice what's happening here. This isn't just a form, it's a controlled flow. You name the project, you select the project type, you choose a complexity level, low, medium, high, and that choice actually matters later. This isn't cosmetic, it feeds directly into estimation logic. Then you add features with limits, structure, and intent. You can't just spam inputs or break the flow. Everything is constrained in a way that protects the outcome. And look at the CTA. Generate AI estimate is disabled until the app has what it needs. That's subtle, but it's huge. The UI is enforcing logic, not letting users make mistakes, not relying on instructions. The product itself guides behavior. Once an estimate is generated, the project moves forward through a clear workflow. Each stage is visible, each action leads to a single outcome. There's no ambiguity about what happens next. Even the navigation reflects this mindset. Dashboard for overview, create for action, settings for control, no clutter, no mystery tabs. Everything earns its place. And when states change, the UI reacts immediately. Numbers update, buttons unlock or lock, screens transition smoothly. There's no reload, no fake progress, no click does nothing moments. This is why this works. Not because it looks clean, that's table stakes, but because the logic is readable. You can feel what the app does just by using it. That's the difference between designing screens and designing systems. This is the kind of product clients actually pay for. Internal tools, dashboards, calculators, approval flows. Stuff that usually takes weeks of design, back and forth, and development, built here through workflow thinking, not brute force. At this point, the product isn't just usable, it's complete. So the only thing left to do is ship it. This doesn't feel like an AI project, it feels like a real product team built it. That's the difference when AI has taste. Alright, once the build is locked in, the workflow makes sense, and you're happy with the experience, the last step is shipping it. And this is where a lot of tools suddenly get complicated. Ready doesn't. Once you're ready to launch, you head up to the top of the screen and hit publish. That's it. No export steps, no handoff, no, now take this to another platform. Publishing is part of the same workflow you've been designing in the entire time. When you click publish, Ready gives you two options, and both are actually usable. You can either go live instantly on a free ready domain, or you can connect a custom domain for a client-ready setup. If you just want to launch fast, the free domain is already there. You can customize the subdomain, plug in your project name, and publish immediately. No DNS, no setup friction. This is perfect for demos, internal tools, MVPs, or client previews. One click, your app is live. Now, if you're shipping this as a real product or handing it off to a client, you can switch to custom domain. Ready walks you straight into the domain settings. From here, you can either connect a domain you already own or buy a new one and link it directly. No jumping between dashboards, no guesswork. It's a clean, guided flow that feels intentionally built for non-devs who still want production-level results. Once that's set, you publish, and that's it. Your mobile web app is live. Same logic, same interactions, same workflow. Nothing breaks in the process. Copy the link, open it up, and you're looking at the exact product you just built, running in real time. Buttons work, state updates instantly, navigation holds. This isn't a preview mode, this is the actual deployed app, and that's the quiet flex here. You didn't export designs, you didn't rebuild anything, you didn't hand this off to another stack. You designed, iterated, and shipped inside one system without losing the logic that made the product work in the first place. That's what makes Ready different. Not just that you can build fast, but that you can finish. Here's why this actually matters, and I don't mean in a cool AI tool way. If you're a freelancer, the bottleneck isn't design skill, it's translation. You spend half your time explaining how something should work instead of showing it working. With a workflow-first tool like this, you skip the explanations. You ship something interactive. Clients don't debate ideas, they react to reality. That alone changes the power dynamic. If you run an agency, this isn't about replacing developers or cutting corners. It's about compressing time. Internal tools, dashboards, calculators, approval flows, the stuff that usually eats weeks, can be scoped, built, and validated before development even starts. Fewer revisions, clearer requirements, better handoffs, higher margins. And if you're a solo creator or builder, this unlocks a completely different way of thinking. You're no longer limited to content pages or static sites. You can build products, systems, tools people actually use, things that solve problems, not just explain them. The real shift here isn't speed, it's leverage. When you think in workflows instead of pages, every build becomes more valuable, every project becomes easier to reason about, and every client conversation moves away from opinions and toward outcomes. That's where creators start winning, not by doing more work, but by designing smarter systems. So at this point, you should have a clear picture of how to get started with Readdy.ai. You've seen how to build a real mobile website from scratch, how to think in workflows instead of pages, how to customize the UI without breaking structure, how to add motion that actually improves clarity, and how to publish and ship it like a real product. Whether you're launching a client website, prototyping an internal tool, or testing an idea you've had sitting in your notes for months, Ready makes the whole process easier. It's beginner friendly, but it doesn't cap you. You can move fast without building something fragile. And real talk, 99% of people don't even know tools like this exist. Most are still stuck stitching together designers, builders, plugins, and dev time just to get to something you can now prototype in under half an hour. If you just want to build faster, there are many tools. If you want to build better, with taste, this is the one. Link in the description. You can create 2 projects for free, no pressure, no paywall jump scares, enough to actually test it and see if it fits your workflow. Build something real, break it, refine it, and if you end up shipping something cool, tag it Readdy.ai. I genuinely want to see what you build. If this video helped you think differently about building with AI, you know what to do. More breakdowns like this are coming. I'll catch you in the next one.